What's going on? It's your man Chris here, Astrology Universe, coming at you. Another video. It's gonna be do what you gotta do, and it's gonna be a little bit of an astrology talk too, with the transits and the planets going on right now. Currently, as I'm making this video, Moon is in Aquarius. Moon in Aquarius points towards detachment, towards one's emotions. It's gonna point towards sudden, spontaneous bouts of emotions. Anything having to do with having a unique parent, an intelligent and even genius parent, if you break it down that way and intend to as well. When you're going to talk about having Moon in Aquarius, Sun is also in Capricorn. Capricorn, shout out to all my Capricorns, Capricorn season, solar return for all y'all. Sun in Capricorn is going to point towards people who are serious. These people are serious. They tend to be very smart, if not geniuses when it comes to making money. Capricorns can make money. When it comes towards what they believe or how they speak, they tend to be very private with their words. They won't really say much, or they're only going to talk to people that they're really, really close to. Coming into that, when it points towards the fourth house of Capricorn, is going to be Aries. It's going to point towards them being emotionally frustrated from time to time. It's going to point for them having a parent. One of the two parents they had in the house was short-tempered, quick to anger, things of that nature, and a lot of fights at the home as well. They have Taurus in the fifth house. Capricorns love money. They also love food. These are all things I'm going to describe and point towards a Capricorn. When you be doing shit like that, when you be talking about Capricorns, things of that nature and intent, you're going to be realizing that. Coming into their sixth house, what do Capricorn have? Gemini. What do these people like to do? They love to be very communicative at work or in a work environment, work situation, when it comes towards things of that nature and intent. Capricorns are going to be signs or people who are very intelligent when it comes to getting work done. They're going to delegate their work to people if they need. When it comes towards their partners, Capricorns, you want a partner that can cry. You want a partner that can be emotional. You want a partner that can do and have all of these particular things when it comes towards your regards. Coming into your eighth house, Capricorn, y'all got Leo in the eighth house. Y'all can hate when somebody gets in their ego. Y'all can hate from time to time when somebody is just way too much in their ego. They talk too much, they do shit like that. When it comes towards your ninth house, having in your ninth house Capricorn, you're going to have Virgo there. You guys are, when it comes towards your education, you like it to be perfect. You like to work on things to the highest extent that you can. Doing something, working on something to perfection is going to make you the happiest that it could be. Coming into your 10th house Capricorn, that's going to point towards, in your 10th house, you got Libras. You are known for being fair. Capricorns can be hard as shit, but they are fair people. They can tell you one thing from another when it comes down to things of that nature and intent. Coming into the 11th house, Capricorn, you're going to have in that place, you're going to have Scorpio. Your friends are very intense people. Your friends might be haters, or you may be hating on your friends from time to time when it comes to things like that. You may have injuries to your ankle area and things of that nature from time to time, depending on it as well. You probably got electrocuted at some point, shocked even, or had a sudden accident happen to you. Coming into your 12th house. The 12th house is your dreams. It's going to point towards everything having to do with your ops, your enemies. It's going to point towards everything having to do with just being in a state of privacy, spirituality. And you got Sagittarius. As hard as a Capricorn might seem in the face, as serious as they be, as soon as they get them into private, that could be when they're laughing the most. That's going to be when they're trying to educate themselves the most, when they're in private, when you can't really see them. That's really when they're going to be doing those things. Or you can find them at their happiest when they have their privacy. That's going to be for all the Capricorns out there, right? Again, happy solar return. Speaking of that, coming in currently right now, we also got, I believe, Saturn is still in Pisces. That Saturn in Pisces is going to point towards having to do things in regarding to your spirituality. Saturn is going to point towards difficulties, delays, hardships. It's going to point towards not Saturn believing Pisces. You're going to need some proof. Anybody with Saturn in Pisces, you're going to have a Saturn return coming up, and this happens every 30 years. But the people who don't have Saturn in Pisces but want to know how Saturn in Pisces is going to affect them, you want a more in-depth reading, come to my channel, go to my link tree in my bio, click it, come get a reading. But when it comes towards Saturn in Pisces, this is a period of time where you're going to see churches, hospitals, you're going to see the music industry are going to be taking some blows. If you've been paying attention to the music industry, you know what's been going on right now. People getting exposed, people getting put out there, people going to, when it comes to hospitals, people still getting sick, people doing those things, new strains and flus and new viruses coming out, if you can even believe it. If you can even believe it. And when it comes towards having that moon in that sign, you need to also understand too, or not that moon, when it comes towards Saturn in Pisces, it's going to point towards development or being really serious about what you believe in, taking it serious. This is the time to do so. And it's going to be about destroying negative beliefs, destroying bad belief patterns that you had in your mind or in your body at that point in period of time when it comes to doing things like that as well. Coming off that, when you talk about it, see this too. Saturn being in Pisces, Neptune is still in Pisces. Neptune has been in Pisces for years now. Years and years now. Neptune in Pisces means that we've been living in a fog. We've been living in delusion. Not everything you hear, not everything that is said to you is going to be true or accurate. You got to really know how to distinguish between who's telling you a lie and who's telling you the truth. I'm not going to say that I necessarily know everything from a truth from a lie, but you can tell when you be living in times that be deceiving you. Coming off that, currently, Venus is in Sagittarius. It's about to leave, but Venus is still currently in Sagittarius. Mars is entered into Capricorn, but let's talk about Venus first. Venus is your money. It's going to point towards your food. It's going to point towards your economy, your business, your funds. All of those different things are going to point towards that Venus in Pisces or Venus in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is forgiveness. It points towards expansion. It points towards big, grand philosophy, higher knowledge, higher mind, expertise, and things of that nature and intent. When you got that Venus in Sagittarius, that could point to big money, big eats. It's going to point towards everything having to do learning as much as you can about money, about nature, putting yourself in a massive environment. Venus also points towards weddings. It's going to point towards travel. A lot of people might be traveling towards a wedding during this period of time. They might be going to parties, events, festivals filled with people. Big eat outs, things of that nature and intent is also going to be Venus in Pisces when it comes down to that. Coming off that as well, you're going to have Mars in Capricorn. What is Mars? Mars is the self. Mars is anger. Mars is action. Mars is aggression. Capricorn is going to be the same thing that Saturn says. Capricorn is going to be hardship, delays, difficulties, discipline, everything having to do with really taking something serious or even destroying something from time to time. Having that Mars in Capricorn is going to point towards people having the ability to take care of yourself. It's going to be put all that responsibility on your own self and your own shoulders as it's coming through this period of time. Having that as well. You need to understand during this period of time, difficulties can come towards yourself. You may not be able to express yourself fully. You may have to stop, hold back from time to time, do whatever you need to do. But you got to understand that Saturn is really going to point towards self-discipline, and that's how you're going to really need to work on it. Mercury. I'm pretty sure Mercury is currently in Sagittarius as well. I still believe it's in a fire sign during this period of time. But Mercury is going to point towards your work, how you think, how you communicate, things of that nature. And usually when it's in a fire sign like Sagittarius, that means talking, broadcasting. Mercury points towards the news. It points towards talking, letting out your emotions, or letting out mental stimulation, thinking, expression. And having it in Sagittarius is going to point towards everything having to do with everything that has to do with Jupiter. And we're going to get to Jupiter next. But Mercury in Sagittarius is talking loud, is a preacher giving a sermon, talking. It's going to point towards everything having to do with being happy in the way that you think. Coming off that as well, what is the last thing that is going to be? What is going to last thing? Let's talk about Jupiter right now. Jupiter is currently in the sign of Taurus. Everything that Venus in Sagittarius says, Jupiter and Taurus is going to say the same thing. Now, when I give you these planets and where they are in the sky, if you want to really be good at astrology, you got to understand how long it takes each planet to go through a zodiac sign. It takes Jupiter about 11.86 months to go through the zodiac. That's about a little bit less than a year in each and every single sign. So Jupiter has been in Taurus. Don't get that fucked up. But Jupiter being in Taurus is going to point towards money. It's going to point towards expanse. It's going to point towards everything having to do with being happy. It's It's going to point towards expanding one's abilities and values. It's going to point to somebody really learning the higher aspects of what they do value. It's going to take your business to another level. You traveling for housing. You're going to be traveling to places that it will be a benefit to you, receiving multiple gifts. It's also giving. Taurus is giving. It's not just receiving. You might be giving away, giving to be a blessing or merciful person during this period of time. Because Jupiter is a benefic, and so is Venus. Venus is another benefic that people get into and talk about when they be doing shit. When it comes towards that. What other planets have I not yet talked about? I talked about the moon, the sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn. I'm pretty sure. Pretty much covered on the Uranus is in Taurus. Is another planet that's been there for a long time. And Pluto. How could I forget Uranus and Pluto, right? Uranus is the planet of technology, intellect, everything having to do with sudden, spontaneous, humanity, cars. Points towards your uniqueness, how to be unique, how to find yourself in unique places, unique situations in your time and period of life. Having that ability, doing those things the way that you want. Uranus in Taurus is going to point towards electronic money. Uranus doesn't necessarily like sitting in the sign of Taurus, because Uranus was the sign of Aquarius, and Aquarius squares is at a 90-degree angle, which is a hard, difficult aspect to Taurus. So Uranus being in Taurus, and it's been there for a while, it's still going to be there for a couple more years, probably until like 2025, 2026, right? Is a time for people to really question their values, or really have values that are not standard. Remember, Uranus is rebellion. It is uniqueness. It is upheaval. It is whatever the status quo is. Fuck that. We're going to do the opposite. And having it in Taurus, which is the sign of morals and morality. There's been things that we've been learning and doing for these past probably 5 years now, 4 or 5 years now, that made you question, what do you really believe is moral? What do you really have of value? It's really testing your ability, your knowledge. It's really testing what you know about your money, what you know about the landscape, what you know about the earth, what you know about the climate, what you know about the environment happening around you. It's been really testing people on a long haul, on a long scale for this period of time that has been happening. Coming off that as well. People have been getting the cryptocurrency, stocks, all of these electronic sources of money have been popping up in stores, doing things on a mass scale at this period of time. Finally, we got Pluto entering the sign of Aquarius. Right now it's in Capricorn at 29 degrees. On January 20th, Pluto again will enter into the sign of Aquarius. Now, what does that mean? Let me just break that down for you. Pluto is the slowest moving planet in the zodiac, especially in Western astrology. Pluto takes 256 years to go around the zodiac. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius was the American Revolution, Haitian Revolution. All that revolutionary period, that was the last time. And it's about to go back into that same sign. It was there for a little bit earlier this year, around March to May. And around that time in March to May, over in France, the people had a little rebellion that went on. And as soon as it left the sign, the rebellion stopped. Ain't that interesting? As soon as it went back from Aquarius into Capricorn, the rebellion stopped. But we're about to leave Pluto in Capricorn, which has been governing us for about the last 20 years. Pluto, what is Pluto first? Let me break it down this way. Pluto is death. It is life. It is human. It points towards life in general. All living creatures, your biology, your wounds, is going to point towards intensity. It is the act of sex. It is the act of ejaculation, giving birth, everything that has to do with the birth process. Points to everything having to do with murders. It has everything to pointing towards assassinations. It has everything to do with processes of life in general, from the giving of life to the taking away. Aquarius is the same thing like Uranus. And if you remember what I said about Uranus, what is Uranus? Rebellion. It is upheavals. It is everything having to do with messing with the status quo, setting a new status quo. As Pluto has been in Capricorn. What is Pluto also? Manipulation. What has been happening over these last 20 years? Haven't we seen big companies manipulate the people, put their hand in, take advantage. Pluto. Corporations, Capricorn, taking advantage, Pluto, of people. All you see on Instagram, if you make a post or you hear somebody talking about it, especially if you live in the first world, is how these companies, how your bosses, how all of these people either don't know what they're doing or have an unfair advantage over the people. All these rich people, all these rich billionaire company owners and things like that, all they have is disadvantage in doing all of these sick, twisted things behind the scenes. All right? Well, all of that is about to change. All of that is about to end. As soon as Pluto comes back into Aquarius, it's going to be there for 20 years. So I'm not going to tell you every single last thing that's going to happen in 20 years. But do expect we are going to have another revolution. Remember, and it comes back January 20th. It's going to be the start, and Pluto is going to stay in Aquarius. So let me give you some other keywords. Technology. Aquarius is technology. What do I predict is going to happen? As Pluto is going to enter the sign of Aquarius, we're going to see nothing but technological advances in society. Remember, Pluto is life. You know what people haven't been talking about? That the government has been working on? Cloning. Everything having to do with cloning. Everything having to do with AI. I know you've seen those videos on TikTok, on the internet, on Instagram. You've heard of them, of robots in the streets running around. That is going to become common. That is going to become 100% common by the end of these 20 years. Having people being replaced by robots to do your jobs for you, drive your cars, be in the streets, riding trains, buses, operating them, all that shit gonna become commonplace. And guarantee you, near the end of these 20 years, we're gonna start seeing people actually fuck around and try to make some laws for if these robots, if AI actually have human rights. But that shit gonna come a long time from now. But it's coming. Promise you that. What else can I say for that? Coming into. But before any of that happens, I guarantee you, within the next let me say it this way. America, the sense of America. The last time the American Revolution happened, two things were present. Pluto was in the sign of Aquarius, but something else was really important too. Uranus was in the sign of Gemini. Where's Uranus right now? In the sign of Taurus. One sign before it. So revolution ain't gonna come on January 21st. I'm not gonna say that. Uranus is at 20 degrees. That's about a third of the way done through the sign of Taurus. And Uranus stays in one sign for about 7 years. So I'd say in about another 3 years. 2024 right now. So about 2027. Both Pluto is going to be in Aquarius and Uranus is going to be in Gemini. Same placements that they were in during the American motherfucking Revolution. Get ready. Get ready. Shit's going to hit the fan. Stay safe out here. Really got to be able to defend for yourself. I ain't going to say everybody going to get involved in, but war's going to break out. Civil war is going to break out. If even World War might even break out as well too, the way shit is looking. Sure, we know about certain things right here, right now, but nothing has been set in stone. This country getting invaded, that country getting invaded. What you got? The Middle East right now doing some shit. You got Russia doing some shit. You got China trying to start some shit. But nobody has really solidified or really pulled the trigger. Outright drafts. Let's go to war. Nobody said none of that shit yet. Nobody. There's a bunch of mini wars stacking upon each other. Look, I'm telling you, soon as the 21st hits, get ready. We about to enter a whole new thing. And I'll say one last thing, just scare you a little bit. Humanity is the sign of Aquarius. Calamity, which is earthquakes, typhoons, tsunamis, all of that is Aquarius too. Death, remember, is Aquarius. So death on a humanitarian level, death on a society level, death on a human race level, that's Pluto in Aquarius. time to get y'all ready. Make these videos, keeping everybody up to date. First is gonna go towards my inner Facebook group. Everybody else gonna get it at a later date, especially my YouTube. But catch y'all next time. Want a more in-depth reading about this year, right here, right now, how it's gonna affect you. Know about your chart. Learn about perfections. Learn about all those things that gonna give you an advantage and know what things you should be looking forward or coming towards in life. Chris is here. Astrology Universe. Peace.